Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com, and I want to talk about something that maybe is your problem as a day trader. I don't know if it is, but what I want to do in this video is share with you a problem I was having and how things played out. And I want to give you a real world example of it so that you can see that, yeah, it was a problem for me. And when I did the opposite of what I was doing, as you're going to see, I actually found success. And if you find yourself in this situation where I was, well, then you know what? Maybe this will be the solution to you. Now, I can't say with certainty that this will be the solution, but I think there is at least a little bit of rationale behind the thought process of, hey, it worked for that goofy looking guy. Maybe I should try it. So let me set up a little context and then we'll get into what my problem was and then what the solution was that worked out nicely for me. Now, this will come across as a sales pitch, and I guess maybe it is because it is a great idea, but I promise I'm not trying to sell pitch you anything. I'm just setting up context here. So within the strategy that I've been doing, I've been trading futures through a prop firm. And the way a prop firm works is this: you pick out a certain amount of purchasing power. So for the area that I was really struggling, it was with the 150,000 purchasing power account. And then the way a prop firm works is this: you go and you start off in a test account, and that's basically where you prove yourself. And then after that, you move into a pro account if you can pass the test. And then in the pro account, that is where when you begin to make money, you get to keep that money. So that's just the backbone of things. You got to be able to pass the test first. So what is this test that I was having to pass? Well, with the 150K purchasing power account, the goal is you've got to be able to make $9,000, but you're not allowed to lose $4,500. And then within this, within the boundaries of the test and within the boundaries of the account, you were able to buy 15 contracts. And these contracts, with going too far down the futures rabbit hole, very, very volatile contracts. Or you could get, of the lesser volatile contracts, you could get up to 150 of those. So that's the context here that is what I think ultimately causing me a little bit of false confidence, because you look at these numbers, and if you're not in futures, you just have to realize, and you'll just have to trust me, that even one of these contracts here is very, very powerful and can move a whole lot. It can add up very quickly in your favor. And of course, that's a catch-22. It can add up against you. But like I said, that comment was only based on one contract. In this size account, you could get up to 15 of those very, very movable, very, very volatile contracts. But the key thing here was this number right here: being allowed to lose $4,500. That's not a small amount of money. That's a big chunk of money. So what was happening to me and what I found myself struggling with was overconfidence, in the sense of, oh, I got $4,500, plenty of wiggle room, I can make it work, and I will be just fine. Whereas on all these other size accounts, I passed a 25K, I passed that test, I passed that one, and I've never tried the 75. I don't know if I ever will. So that's a little bit outside the scope of this. But my point here is I have passed and I have moved into the pro account for all these other size accounts. But it was the 150K one that I was just failing. I think after this, or, before I got to this one, it had been either 3 or 4 failures, meaning, I blew up the account and I lost more than $4,500. But my problem was this: I have plenty of leeway, as I already talked about. And you know what? I mean, because I have 150,000 of purchasing power, I can go and I can move fast. I can hit with not a little bit of a stick, but I can hit with an absolute sledgehammer, because I can go 15 very aggressive contracts or even 150 of the smaller ones, but I have a lot of wiggle room and I can hit things with the sledgehammer. Let's get to it. And you know what happened? Failed test, failed test, failed test, blown account. And eventually I said, okay, Clay, what I need to do here is just tap the brakes. And this next part here, if you don't believe me, no problem at all. And I'll turn this into a quick plug. I've been live streaming, so check it. Check out the channel every now and then during the day. I do live stream, and I was saying all this in the live stream itself. I think my problem is I'm going too fast. I'm trying too hard. I'm going with big aggressive size because, hey, I have $4,500 that I'm allowed to lose before I fail the test. And I should note that the nice thing about these is if you fail the test and you lose $4,500, it's not like $4,500 is coming out of your pocket. The only thing coming out of your pocket if you were to do this would be $252, because that's the current price of this prop firm. Now, it's a promotion right now, so maybe that'll be different. But the point here being is that is one of the attractive features of prop firms is if you fail a test, you're not losing that actual amount. You're only losing the cost of the account. So on the other side of things, if you're going through a 25,000 purchasing power account and you were to lose, so how do you fail the test? How do you lose that account? Well, you would have to have losses more than $1,500. But again, that's not $1,500 of your money. That is 105. How can they do that? How can they let you lose $1,500? Because the test phase is on a simulator environment. So the losses, it's not like anybody's actually losing that money. That's always a question, which is a good question. How is this a viable business model? Because then all this is happening during the job interview part or the test where you're proving yourself. That's all in a simulated environment. But anyways, back to here. That is where I stood, feeling overconfident. I'm going too hard. I'm rushing. And then on the live stream, I said, I'm going to try to just slow down. No more big size. I'm just going to take it one day at a time, chip away at it, and let's see if that makes any difference. So that was my thought. Maybe I should just slow down. Maybe I should peel back on the super, super aggressive. I know, yeah, it's there. I can get very, very aggressive. And I was getting very aggressive. And then I kept blowing up accounts and failing. So I thought, why don't I just do the opposite of what I was doing? Why don't I slow down and get less aggressive? Maybe that's a problem for you with whatever you're trading. This is not unique to a futures, trading strategy or a prop firm's trading strategy. You could be trading crypto. You could be trading stocks. You could be trading, anything else. But maybe, just maybe, ask yourself, are you potentially just trying too hard, going too fast? Are you being too aggressive? Because when I did the exact opposite, let's take a look and see if I was able to pass the test. So here we are looking at the dashboard of the prop firm that I'm using. And hey, how am I doing? I like to see that right there. Congratulations. You have passed your trading combine and earned a funded account. That's what I like to see. Now, with the way it works with this prop firm, you have to trade for at least 5 days within the test. So you got to go minimum 5 days. So you can't just YOLO, get lucky in one trade one day and then pass. Because again, they want to see, can you structure any sort of consistency or not? So you do have 5 days, but it took me 18 days. Now, a lot of people look at that and scoff and say, 18 days, man, you got to be able to pass that thing in at least 5, if not maybe a couple more. And I understand, I understand why you just kind of want to get through the test phase so you can get to the pro account, get to the funded account. I get it. All I'm telling you is that I was trying that and I was failing miserably. I couldn't quite do it. Again, those other accounts that I showed you, the 25,000, the 50,000, I passed those relatively quickly. But when it came to the 150K, like I said, I was totally struggling. So if you are able to get one of these size accounts and blow through it in a few days, props to you. But there are some of us out there when, again, title this video, maybe this is a problem for you. And the problem for us is we just get overconfident, we get too comfortable, and then we get extra aggressive, and it costs us. But right here, so it did take 18 days, and I did eventually hit the profit target. The profit target for that being 9,000, and made $9,000 or $9,200. But here is where I just want to illustrate what was going on, and this is what I'm very proud of here. But this curve, nice and steady, nice and steady. Nothing massive, but it's just a nice and steady move in the upwards direction. So I slowed down. Yeah, there was a little bit of aggressiveness here and there, but it wasn't anything like aggressiveness beforehand. And then just to show some numbers behind all this, we can see here, there we go, had to adjust something, but you can see all the numbers here. So this was day one, and then working upwards, you can see the dates over there. Also, dates are increasing. But yeah, nothing too massive. 228, $52, 450, 676, 760, 838. Beforehand, I'd have like a $3,000 day, and then the next day roasted. So like I said, maybe you're looking at these numbers and saying, what are you talking about? These are huge days. And I mean, don't get me wrong, they are very big days, but within the context of the 150,000 purchasing power and needing to pass the test, you would need days somewhere around here in order to get through it. And then let's go to this one. So you can see here, just taking what the market gives you. There's only 140. There's a less than $100 day. That was a good day right there, a little bit above the normal. And then right here was a day where I finally passed it, and then another day where not as big as the $1,200 day. Whoops, not as big as the $1,200 day, but a good sized day nonetheless that did allow me to pass the test right up here, at the 1083 mark, and that is what pushed me right there over the 159 mark. But yeah, it took 18 days, and that is for some, like I said, they were thinking, "What are you doing?" And I would, honestly, I would like to try to shrink that time down, but I needed to figure out what exactly is going on. And it's crazy how the very first time I tried, let's just slow down, let's get less aggressive, poof, I passed. Yeah, it took a while, but that was part of it. Just slow down, slow down. So maybe this is the problem for you within your trading. Ask yourself, are you going too fast? Are you being too aggressive? Sometimes the best way to find gains, as backwards as it sounds, is slow down, get less aggressive, and then things can take care of themselves. So just think about that within your trading, whatever you're trading. This could apply to swing trading or day trading. And be honest with yourself. There's no point in lying. You're never going to progress as a trader if you're, deceiving yourself and not being honest with yourself. But maybe that is the problem for you. You're being too aggressive, you're trying too hard, and you're just trying to go too fast. So that is all I have, and I know people are going to ask, so I'm just going to address it right now. Whoa, Clay, I've never heard of this prop firm stuff, but that sounds pretty cool. Which one are you using? Which one do you recommend? I'll put a link down below, and it'll take you right to this. Again, I don't know when you're going to be watching this video, so don't expect 30%. It may be more, it may be less, because the prop firms are always running different promotions. So don't bank on seeing that, but just keep in mind, like I said, maybe they've done 50% off before. But point here being is, if you are interested in the prop firm, then I'll put a link down below, and that's a way you can get that promotion. And then finally, if you are interested in learning more about the tools I'm using to build consistency and manage risk, then definitely get signed up for this free live webinar that I'm offering that I'll help walk you through having a good framework, having a good approach to the market, and just making sure that you're approaching things in the best possible way. A lot of people show up and they think they're doing things the right way, and I can understand why they're doing things the way they are, but they're not actually the wisest of ways of going about it, which is completely, normal when you're newer or struggling as a trader. So check out the link down in the description area, or just go to claytrader.com/live, and you can learn when the next live class is and then get signed up for it. So thanks for watching. And remember, if this is a problem for you, get less aggressive and slow down and see if that helps you out at all.